We're gonna skip into the actual game here. Okay. Look at Shara's outfit. I know it is hard to farm gear and stuff, and like I would definitely wear something ridiculous, but there's something about the basketball shoes combined with the samurai armor and the Naruto headband that is sending me. Also, the dead serious expression on his face sells it so hard. Oh my god, I love that. Okay, anyway. So, we're gonna be seeing a lot of the same stuff here, okay? We're going to be seeing a lot of LDE. We're going to be seeing a lot of Ninja Squid. We're going to be seeing a lot of Stealth Jump. And then if we're not seeing those things, it's probably for one of a couple of things. One of those things is going to be Swim Speed. One of those things is going to be Special Charge. I don't think that's going to be especially different for most of the weapons in the game right now. So let's talk briefly about that, because while, again, I don't want to get people getting too hung up on gear, because I think gear is one of the least important aspects of the game that you make real decisions about. It's kind of a good catch-all moment to discuss why people are running the things that they're running right now. So first of all, LDE is, as far as I know, completely unchanged from Splatoon 2, which means it's insane. Which means everybody has to at least consider it. Because what LDE does, Last Ditch Effort is what that stands for those who don't know. What LDE does is, as the opponent's score remaining ticks down, once you hit 50 remaining and start going below that, you get scaling ink efficiency. So, ink recovery up, ink saver sub, so this gear perk right here that Hope is running for the junior, and ink saver main, you get more and more and more of that as time goes on. By the time they're down to 30 remaining, which is where it maxes out, you now have 24 AP of each of those three things just from your one main. So, for those who don't know how the AP system works, a main is worth 10 AP, and a sub is worth 3. So 24 is worth more than any one piece of gear can actually give you. It's 2 mains plus a sub plus a little more. And you get one of those for each of those 3 types of ink efficiency, all for the cost of 1 main on your gear. So yeah, you don't have it the entire match, and that you know, is a weakness of it. But if you're going to hold your opponent below 50 on most of the map modes in the game, that means that you're going to win the game anyway, probably, because it's not really that close. And as soon as the points and stuff do start mattering, that's when you get this absolutely obscene buff. Like I said, every weapon in the game wants to at least consider that, because it's just so much gear for so little of an investment. So, that's why everyone's running LDE. Basically, you default to LDE. If there's not something in particular that you need more than you need LDE, you just run LDE. Then there's also going to be a lot of Ninja Squid. Ninja Squid is really important, specifically in Splatoon 3, for a couple of reasons. Number one, in Splatoon 2, the way that it worked was that it took away 20% of your swim speed. It made you move at 80% of the speed you normally would. In Splatoon 3, they've buffed it to 90%, so it's not as big of a deal as it used to be. Number two, my cat is attacking a plastic bag, so apologies if there are rustling noises. In Splatoon 3, it only goes to 90%, so that helps it a lot in its viability. And number two, it also... This is just a game where there's a lot more open space without cover that you have to push through. There are a lot of really obvious choke points. There aren't as many unclear flank routes. There's no map in Splatoon 3 right now that is like the Reef from Splatoon 2, where you can completely circumvent mid and not be in a really obvious or like dangerous position. So a lot of the time, if you're not trying to get sniped by an E-liter, you just kind of want to be running Ninja Squid so that people don't spot you coming through and you have a better chance of going undetected, just so that you can safely swim between two pieces of cover. So that's one of the big reasons that people are running that right now. Then Stealth Jump is always a good choice for any weapon that's going to be jumping in, you know, a reasonable amount. You may not need it on an E-liter, but for just about anything else that's going to want to super jump back into play instead of just like swimming back in, Stealth Jump is always the best way to keep yourself safe. The problem with Drop Roller is that what's going to happen at top level is someone just throws a bomb on your jump, and it doesn't matter that you have Drop Roller because you land and explode on the explosion happens while you're still in midair and before you start even rolling. So Stealth Jump is the safer way to go about it because they can't throw a bomb on something they can't see. That's why those are the most common things. For special spam weapons, you don't necessarily need the Stealth Jump as much because you're not going to be dying as much. You're going to run LDE, of course, but then everything else, you know, the Ninja Squid, the Stealth Jump, if you're not going to be in combat as much, if you're not going to be trying to push forward as much, then you can kind of just get away with running something like what Char is running there. And then Dude, we'll see that Dude in these matches is playing very, very aggressive, flanking constantly. And the mobility is there to help him in those fights. So this is Dude going really, really, really aggro with his build. He doesn't even care that you see him. He's just going to get there so fast that it's hard to deal with him. That's kind of his game plan there. So one other thing that we're seeing here that we weren't seeing in the other teams is a little bit of comeback and even some quick respawn. Jared is planning on feeding, is what we know from this gear. That's what this gear means. He's planning on going in and taking fights and not being punished as hard for going down immediately. Basically, the reason you do it is that you're really, really mechanically good at the game, and you're going to put pressure on them constantly over and over again and keep them pushed back. And if you keep them pushed back far enough, then even if you go down quickly, hopefully your teammates can fill in and, you know, trade back and get a good enough position that the team that you were attacking, that you were pushing back, can't push all the way back forward again before the time that you get back in and start pushing them again. That's kind of the hope of how it works. It's also, again, your goal is to be really aggressive, and part of this is just an insurance policy. Like, if you're going to be very aggressive, sometimes you're going to get caught. Sometimes they're going to make a hard read. Sometimes they're going to guess where you are. They're going to take you out before you can get anything done. And that's going to happen a lot more often if you're playing aggressively than if you're playing passively. And so you can think of it as more of an insurance policy sort of thing than me, again, being a little bit overgeneralized and saying that he's planning on feeding, because he's definitely not planning on just going in and dying. So otherwise, one thing I want to point out is the E-liter running Respawn Punisher. This is really, really common. Respawn Punisher is only good if your KD is massively in your favor. And the only weapons that you can expect reliably for that to happen at a top level of play where the other players are absolutely cracked is a weapon that's not going to be engaging them at all. And that's the E-liter. The E-liter is going to be standing really, really far back and ideally just never getting caught. So it's not very uncommon to see E-liters with like 3 or 4 KD ratios. 3 or 4 kills for every death. Pinkle is throwing so many bombs. Oh my god. Look at this. LDE plus 2 mains of Inksaver sub. That man is running that weapon for one reason, and that reason is to throw bombs. What makes Object Shredder on Charger good? So it's a little bit different from Splatoon 2, where the answer, why are they running Object Shredder, was one of 2 things, namely armor or popping the Rainmaker shield. A lot of the time it was armor. But here, there are a couple of things they might be thinking. They might be thinking getting rid of splash walls. They might be thinking getting rid of crab tanks. They might be thinking shooting booyah bombs down. I mean, it's helpful for getting rid of wave breakers, not that you need that much extra help. So there are a few uses for it. And Ice, being a charger, being an anchor player, isn't as likely to go down and isn't as likely to need the utility of stealth jump. Like, if they're jumping in, they're going to be jumping into someone who's really safe because they want to be further back anyway. They don't want to be on the front lines quickly. They want to be back to the back lines quickly. And they're the one who's least likely to go down. So stealth jump has much, much less utility for an anchor weapon. It still has utility, but it's much more important on a frontline weapon.